Today we've got the much anticipated trial decks for Lianorn, Dragjeweled, and none other than Youthberk. So these trial decks are pretty interesting. They're definitely an upgrade from the start decks. Just from the packaging, you have this more or less deck box that you can actually reuse for your deck. In addition to that, it comes with a couple of other little extras. Unfortunately for us in English, we didn't get all the same extras as they did in Japan. In Japan, they actually got sleeves with, I believe, this art on it. We did not get that, probably due to money and having to print out way more copies of sleeves than just for Japan. In general, the box looks really nice. It's pretty sturdy. They gave out a box for BSF and it is pretty janky. You kind of had to put it together yourself, whereas like this one is nice and pretty good. So we'll open up Lianorn. First, you can see here there's a little latch to open up the deck box. It seems pretty put together. The deck or the set comes with the actual cards for the deck, and then you also got yourself these power counters that you can use, one with each of the characters and each of the trigger types. So you can just pop these out and then use these whenever you check a front or whatever and just put it on your cards. Pretty cool. I feel like in Japanese they were like stickers, but I think it's the same thing. I think the stickers was like a separate deal. Then similar to the start decks, you have these infographics here that just tell you how to play the game, and more specifically how to play the game with the cards that are in this box, which is nice. And then we got a bit of an upgrade when it comes to the mats. Because it is double-sided, which is really cool. But they have a mat that actually on the back side just sort of tells you how to play all over the place. I've been wanting to do a sort of tutorial video on how to play Vanguard, and a lot of the stuff in these trial decks might actually help me with that. But they also have this really nice art of Urara and Lianorn here. It looks really nice. It's a shame that it is paper, but there will be, I believe, rubber mats of that same design, or at least something very similar coming out or already out. Nonetheless, for paper mats, this looks really nice. It's right up there with the one that has the comic with Sakura. Then next up, we get ourselves the new Blitz Order here, Elementa Sanctitude. So this is a Sentinel, so you can only play, first of all, you can only play one copy of this in your deck. And in general, you can only have up to 4 Sentinels in your deck. So you play, the new style is to play one of these, 3 of the other Sentinels. Then this has the ability where if your opponent's Vanguard has triple drive, you can play this without the cost. So other than that, it works the same as a normal PG, in where you would discard a card with your hand, and actually it's grade locked to grade 3, I didn't know that. But if your Vanguard is grade 3 or less, so you can't use this if you play grade 4s, choose one of your units and it cannot be hit until the end of the battle. Then you remove this card from the game, so you can't actually recycle this, unfortunately. Very interesting card. It gets around a lot of guard restricts since it's not a Sentinel, it's a Blitz Order. And also you can technically play it for free if you play against grade 4s. I'm still not super sold on this. I know everyone in Japan automatically plays one copy of these because why not? But I feel like for stuff like Barrow, I don't know if I like this, but more on that some other time. And the last thing we get here is actually the expansion pack here. So the cards here are kind of interesting because they actually, detail how to play the game. But you have some official replacement cards here, and then as well as a foil card, and then also some extra cards to sort of power up your deck. So in general, it's a nice little package. I guess let's go over the deck first. There we go, we got Bandmaster of Blossoming Bonds, Lianorn here. So, here's a couple of skills. When this card would be rolled upon, it is also regarded as Grand March of Full Bloom Lianorn. So, the way they're doing the trial decks is that there's 2 different versions of them. There's the somewhat budget version that you get 3 copies of in the trial decks. And then there's the sort of upgraded triple R version that you get in the set that's coming out. Dragjeweled gets his in set 7, Youthberk and Lianorn get theirs in set 6, and they have an extra ability that is way better than the trial deck one, but you can always just get away with the trial deck one or even play them both. But that is the name of the triple R version. So you can definitely play this if, let's say, you only manage to nab one copy, you can throw it into your deck and still Persona ride with it. This skill here is the same for between the trial deck and the triple R versions, they just have another skill on top of it. But Lianorn's skill says here, auto on Vanguard Circle, when a unit attacks, Soul Blast 1, discard a card from your hand and boost this unit with all of your back row rearguard units that are standing with boost. If you boosted with 3 or more units, this unit gets one drive, plus 1 drive, making it triple drive until the end of the battle. And at the end of the battle, choose 2 of your back row rearguard units and stand them, so you can use them to boost again. Pretty interesting little mechanic here. We're going to get 4 copies of them, I should say, and then one of them is in foil, or the parallel foil that is in the pack. Then next up here, we got part of the ride line here, Brilliant Tune Rectina here. As you can see, it kind of tells you how to play and how to use the ride deck, which is really cool. Same with the grade 1 here, Budding of Pleasant Sounds Gracia. And then the grade 0 announcing Wind of Spring Corpi. Got ourselves an actual card here in the Groovy Dragon. When a unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have your back row, or if your back row has 3 or more rear guards, count boss 1, this unit gets 10k until the end of that battle. Got ourselves 4 copies of that. None of the Shaman King Child Deck shenanigans here. Then we got ourselves Upbeat Dragon. When this unit intercepts, if your back row has 2 or more grade 1 or less units, this unit gets 10k until the end of the battle. Fortunately, it is only on intercept, so it's not as great because your board can get wiped and then he is kind of dead or useless because he won't be able to. This is the vanilla 10k attacker that was in the Storkea deck, but it just tells you how intercept works. So we actually get 4 copies of that. Then we get ourselves 1 copy of the Yield Elf. If your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, Cannonboss True and draw a card. On an 8k, I guess that's not horrible. Then we got ourselves 1 of the, I guess, just supporting grade 1s. Lively Rhythm Biara. So this just tells you how boosting works. We get 4 of those. We got ourselves a copy of the older PGs. I'm a little bit, I'm conflicted on the fact that they didn't reprint or they didn't give new art to these type of PGs, but at the same time, I would hate for that art to look really cool and then not use it because it's these sort of lesser value PGs because you always have to discard for them. Then we've got ourselves Knight of Pure Theodore here, who if you discard him from your hand during your ride phase, you can call him out, but he is 6k. Got ourselves 3 copies of that. And then we got ourselves the best critical trigger in all of Overdress here in the Melodia Palmera, which is a fucking cute ass dog playing a little flute guitar, flute keyboard thing. Love it. 4 of these. Then we got ourselves the Symbol Hamster, which is the draw trigger. 4 of those. And you'll notice something a little strange here, but we got the Prominent Elf here. We actually have 4 of those. Usually it's 3 of those or 3 of the draw trigger, and they give you the over trigger. But the over trigger is actually in the expansion pack, but it is just the vanilla Obario. Then we got Flowery Tune here, which is the heal trigger. Very nice. And we got ourselves 4 of those. So the trial deck itself is rather simple. I don't know if a lot of the stuff that comes from the trial deck is playable in either other decks or the deck itself. But I will have to just wait and see once the set 6 comes out. And then we got ourselves here the expansion pack, which has ourselves 12 cards here. So let's go ahead and open that up. One of them is foil, and we basically get everything that we got here, plus the over trigger, and then plus we got everything that we had here that had the how to play the game. We get copies of those, except the 10k. We get the over trigger, and then we get one of them was foil, and then we get a new card, I think, that is usable in the deck. So we got here the Lively Rhythm Biara here, who her actual skill is When attack this unit boosted hits the Vanguard, you can put a grade 2 or less from your hand into the soul to draw a card. So we actually got ourselves 4, actually only 3 combos. I think this does the child deck shenanigans where there's one in the back. Then we got ourselves the Clapping Dragon here. When this unit is placed on the front row rearguard circle from your hand, if your back row has 3 or more units, counterblast 1, draw a card, and if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, he gets 10k until the end of the turn. Not bad. Get one of those so far. And then we got ourselves a Ulbara here. Got ourselves a Order. This is Fun Marching. Play this with Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your grade 1 or less rear guards, and it gets 5k to the end of the turn. Or, oh, sorry, all of them get 5k to the end of the turn. It's not the best because you don't really want to Soul Blast as much. Unfortunately, our foil here is the Rectina. The reason I say unfortunately is because I already have a copy of this. So I was hoping to get one of the other ones in foil. But hey, that's just how it be. So she says, when this unit is rolled upon by a unit with Lianorn in its card name, Soul Blast 1, choose a grade 1 or less from your drop and call it. Then, if your back row, on rearguard circle, if your back row has 3 or more rear guards, this unit gets a boost. We got ourselves the grade 1 here, Budding of Pleasant Sounds Gracia. When this unit is rolled upon by Brilliant Tune Rectina, you may call this out to rearguard circle. So, gives you a somewhat aggressive grade 2 turn. And then if this boosts a Vanguard, it gets 5k. We got the starter here, who just lets you draw if you win second. Then we get another copy of that grade 1, another copy of the Clapping Dragon, and another copy of the Order. So yeah, I guess they just do that to not let you know which is the foil. Which is fine, but unfortunately it was the grade 2. Next up, we'll go over Dragjeweled here, which is the trial deck for Dark Stakes. Box is very similar to the Lianorn one, obviously with different images fitting for the character and the unit that they're based on. And of course has very similar things. We've got the deck here, as well as these things here. Got the same exact power counters as the Lianorn one. It'll be the same for the Youthberk one. This piece of instructional manual is the same, except it shows it with the Dragjeweled units. And I'm sure it teaches you how to play those. And then likewise, the mat on the back is the same, and on the front we've got the same design basically that's on the box, but it looks very cool. Very, very pretty, very cool. Just a shame again that it's, you know, paper. So unless you can like laminate it or something like that, that would be really cool, because otherwise it's just, you know, really difficult to roll that out all the time. And you know, the creases and whatnot, that's my only issue with the paper ones. We got of course the PR here as well, the promo, I should say, Sentinel, and of course the pack as well. Here we've got Jewel Embracing Dragon Fang, Dragjeweled. Very similar to Lianorn, where if rolled upon, it is also regarded as Demonic Jewel Dragon, Dragjeweled, which is the RRR version, which is, I think at the very least, I know that one is way better because it lets you soul charge. So in general, they all have a skill that helps their main skill. The RRR versions have a skill that help out the the RRR versions have a skill that helps out the main skill that both the RRR and the trial deck versions share. So they're always automatically an upgrade, which was something I was really disappointed about, that I was hoping that there would be sort of alternative where you can kind of get away with just using one or the other. You technically can, it's just the RRR version's an obvious upgrade. But in any case, Dragjeweled here says auto on Vanguard circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, Soul Blast 4 cards with different grades. Choose one of your opponent's Vanguards until the end of the turn. Decrease its attack to 1. Or it says increase or decrease, so for whatever reason it was 0, you make it 1. And if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets an additional critical. So it becomes 1, but you can, you know, check a trigger, give it to that unit. Your opponent, I should say, can check a trigger, give it to that unit, and increase its power, so it's not always 1 that entire turn. And then also, it has a rearguard skill where if you Soul Blast 4 or more cards at the same time for the cost of a card's ability, you can have this unit get 5k. So that is I think Lianorn had a skill like that as well, where it has a rearguard skill. I think the triple R versions maybe just don't have this rearguard skill, so that's sort of the incentive, I guess, to play these alongside them. But in any case, we've got 4 copies of those, with one of them being foil. We've got the ride line here with Demonic Stone Dragon Jewel Neil, sorry. 1 copy of that with the instructions, and then Jewel Core Dragon with the instructions as well. I really like this card for Bruce and for Barrel. And then finally we got ourselves Julius, the Draco Kid, which is your starter. Next up, we've got ourselves a new card here, Truculence Raider, who is making this very blurry. I blame, I guess, these guys. Let's put them over here. There we go. Don't know why or what it is about him that made my camera bug out. But in any case, when this unit attacks, if you have a Vanguard or Dragjeweled in its card name, Cannon Blast 1, this unit gets 10k into the end of the turn, and at the end of the battle, put this unit into the soul. It's not half bad. You get a grade 3 into your soul. You get 4 copies of those. Then we've got a somewhat reprint of the Icicle Ian Iser, which is just the vanilla 10k that was in the Bruce start deck. But this one just tells you how intercepting works. Of course, he has no skill either way. This card here is pretty interesting. Mystic Accordionist. So when this is discarded during your ride phase, you may put this into your soul. So all of the trial decks have basically the same effects, except for the rear guards, except they're slightly catered to the skill that their main Vanguard uses. And this one goes into the soul. The Lianorn one calls out a grade 1. This one's really cool because it's a grade 2 and it doesn't have like 6k, so you can actually even use this. But of course, it's only during your ride phase. But I think that's a pretty solid card. You get 4 of these. Then we have here the Avid Heaper. It's a random card that I've actually seen some barrel list play in set 7 for some reason. But when this boosts a grade 2 or greater, you may soul charge 1. As I didn't notice it had May. I thought you just soul charge 1. So this kind of works well with the Amanda line, which we'll be getting next in set 6. So it becomes soul charge 2. It also doesn't have to hit or do anything. It just automatically gets the soul charge. So it's very similar to the Amazement Magician that I was using. Not bad. We get 4 copies of that. Then we've got ourselves here the Direful Doll Kirsten. Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, can boss 2 and draw a card. Very similar to the one that we had from Lianorn. 4 copies of that. Then we got ourselves here the one who calls upon Raging Thunder Fergus. But it's the one that tells you how boosting works. We've got the PGs here. Big fan of Psychic Prima Miranda. It's such a shame that she is one of those PGs that you always have to discard for. We got ourselves the critical trigger here, which I think is really cool looking. Very interested. Sorry, it's Connected Rampage Clan. We got the draw trigger here, which is Insane Researcher. Looks pretty cool. In general, I'm pretty happy to have more triggers. Got ourselves front triggers. Unfortunately, I think the only deck that really uses front triggers is sometimes Bruce, but it sucks because a lot of the arts for the front triggers are really cool, including this one. We got ourselves here Wire Pole Subjugator. Very cool. As mentioned before, whoops, we get 4 copies of that. And we got ourselves the heal trigger here in the Caper Companion. Nice little bunny girl as your heal. And that will do it. Next up, we've got the expansion pack for Dragjeweled, trial deck number 2. We got ourselves the one who calls upon Raging Thunder's Fergus here. His skill actually is when his unit is placed on Record Circle. If you have a Vanguard with Dragjeweled in its card name, Soul Blast 1, choose a card from your drop and put it into your soul. And this unit gets 2k to the end of the turn. Interesting. Soul Blast 1, if there was something that lets you get a skill from Soul Blasting, but I don't think we have access to that. This might be interesting, but it also in general just helps you fix like the grades that are in your soul. as well as reuse something that you can put back into your soul. Then we got Ultrasound Siri here. When this unit is placed on rearguard circle, count boss 1. Look at the top 3 cards from the top of your deck. Choose a card from among them, put it into your soul, shuffle your deck, and if your soul has 4 or more cards with different grades, draw 1 card. Very, very cool card. Lets you draw Philip's soul, and it's a grade 2, so you can actually intercept with it and attack as well. Then we got ourselves Fiend of the Netherworld Ling here. When placed on rearguard circle, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose one among them, put it into your soul, and put the other one in the bottom of your deck. Very cool. The first, I think, example of selective soul charging we have in Dark States. I might be wrong about that. We got 1 copy of that so far. We got ourselves Obaria here. We got ourselves the Dragonic Stone Dragon, Jewel Neil. This is pretty cool. So on Vanguard or rearguard circle, when this hits a Vanguard, you soul charge 1. Then when you ride Dragjeweled over this, you soul charge 1. And if your soul has 3 or more cards with different grades, you draw a card, which you pretty much should always have, just from, the ride line being, 2, 1, and 0. Oh, yes, we got the foil, and it's the Jewel Core Dragon. Perfect, I love this card. So this card's great. He says, when this unit is rode upon by Demonic Stone Dragon Jewel Neil, you call this a rearguard circle. But then he has a skill where this unit's attack or boost, he gets 5 cans at the end of the battle, and at the end of the battle, you put this to your soul, mandatory. You can use this to be really aggressive in barrel and in burst, early game, or even late game to fill up your soul. Very handy card. Got here the starter, which just lets you draw for 1 second. And then we've got the extra copies of everyone else. I, for whatever reason, only have 1 copy, or let's say 2 copies of this girl here, which I think is like the star of this pack. Which makes sense, because that's the one with a really good effect. Actually, well, I think I like this one better, but in any case. Last but not least, we have ourselves the final trial deck for Raika, or more specifically, for Youthberk. This is definitely the most, I'm assuming, anticipated, most popular of the 3. It is also the one that I think costs the most at the moment, and might actually even be very difficult to get, but yep. It's pretty much the same as all the other ones, same design, or same type of format, just design specific for that unit and that character. Inside is the same. We've got ourselves the deck, and then the innards of it include, I'm always grabbing this back part, and I don't want to pull out little cardboard. It gives you the power counters, which is nice, because they've got a nice set of these now. I can actually use these. We've got the informational here, which has instead cards for Youthberk. Shows you how that works. And then finally, we've got ourselves the mat, which has Raika and Youthberk on it. And it looks very cool. I very much like the trial deck Youthberk because it looks dope. It's a very cool mat. I'm definitely going to see if I can find a way to like maybe iron these out. And like, I don't know, I don't want to say laminate, but like find some sort of way to make them, a little bit more usable. We got ourselves, of course, the Sentinel PG thing here, another copy of that, as well as the expansion pack. So first off here, we got Youthberk, Protofall Arms. So, as I've mentioned before, if you ride the Triple R version of it, it counts as a Persona ride. Then he has a skill where at the end of the battle, this unit attacked, choose up to one of your revolve form in its unit with, or just a card with revolve form in its card name from your hand, write it as stand, and it gets -2 drive until the end of the turn. And that's basically what Youthberk revolves around, is just rewriting a Vanguard. And then if you have it on rearguard circle, if you place a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, he gets 5k. So we got ourselves 3 copies of that, or 4 copies, sorry, 1 in foil. Then we got ourselves the Knight of Ardent Light Youth here, which is grade 2 of the ride line. Then we got the grade 1, which is Determined to Break Away Youth. And finally the grade 0, each of these with how to use a ride deck. Got Youth Following in Footsteps, or wait, what? Youth Following in Footsteps Youth? Alright, that's a stupid name. Wish they had translated that or localized that a little bit better. We've got our first Revolve form here in Youthberk Revolve form Zest. So when this is placed on Vanguard Circle by the Revolve Dress ability, to the end of the turn, this unit gets 15k, and if you Persona Road this turn, it gets a crit. And at the end of your turn, choose a card with Revolve Dress ability from your soul and write it as Rest. That last part is something shared within all the Revolve forms, but we get 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of that. Then we got ourselves the Internalized Magician, or sorry, Mage, which has, I was going to say the same skill, but this one's actually Counterblast 2. Basically, if you have Youthberk, you can Counterblast 2 to get 10k. I feel like the other ones were Counterblast 1. Oh, I guess because this is a grade 2, the other ones were grade 3s, huh? And then next up, we've got ourselves Knight of Parting Leogre here. Teaches you how to intercept. This is not actually the vanilla. He actually does have a skill. And then we got ourselves here Stardiness. I believe it should have just been Sturdiness, but Stardiness Dragon. When this unit intercepts, if you have a card with Revolve form and its card name in your soul, this becomes a 10k shield to the end of the battle. It's not the worst, but it is unfortunately only on intercept. If you could use it from hand, it'd be pretty cool. This is actually the vanilla from the Bastion trial deck. Shadow Bolt Archer Liliana. Maybe she has a skill. I feel like she doesn't have a skill. Then we got ourselves Life Saving Angel Curabo here, which is of course the trial deck PG. Then we got ourselves here this card. When this is discarded during your ride phase, you can actually just call this out for free. I feel like the one for Lianorn, you had to like Counterblast 1 or something like that, but yeah, this you just call out for free. It is 6k, but it does give you a free body on board. So we got 4 copies of that. We got this cool looking critical trigger here in the Volition Vigor Dragon. Very cool. 4 copies of that. We got ourselves the Archmia. Very cool looking draw trigger. Unfortunately, whoops, vanilla draw triggers aren't very often used, so I don't think this thing will ever see any play at the moment, but looks pretty cool. Almost the same with the front triggers here. We got the Resolute Mage, very cool looking front trigger. And let's see if we can not drop all these cards. There we go. And we got ourselves the heal trigger here, which is the Recuperate Angel. Very pretty art. I very much need these because I actually ran out of heal triggers for Critter Sanctuary. Right, now we got ourselves the expansion pack. Let's see what this has for us. Here we have the Knight of Parting's Leogre here, whose actual skill is when your Vanguard is placed by the Revolve Dress ability, you can count on -1, and this unit gets 10k to the end of the turn. Got ourselves 3 copies of that. And we got a new card here in the Knight of Piercing Cadwalla. I believe this is even used still in Youthberk list in like set 7. So this says at the end of the battle, if this unit attacked a Vanguard, if you have 4 or more units, you can Soul Blast 1 and retire this unit. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 grade 2 or greater unit card from among them. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. And if not, if you didn't reveal a card, you draw 1 card. So it can very easily help you search out your Revolve forms. This is just Solbaria. We've got ourselves an order with lets you, it's called Skyfall Fury, and you can count boss 1. If you have a Vanguard or Revolve Dress, search for a Zest in your deck and add it to your hand. We got ourselves the grade 2. We got the foil of that. Very cool. This is Knight of Ardent Light Youth. When this is rolled upon by a unit with the Evolved Dress ability, counter boss 1, choose a grade 2 or greater from your drop, put it into your hand. When this unit is boosted, so boss 1, and this unit gets 5k to the end of the battle. Not bad. It's grade 1 skill is actually, I think, pretty solid as well. Determined to break away Youth. So this says on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, during the battle that it attack, this unit gets 2k. Then it has the ability where you ride over it with the grade 2. You can Soul Blast 1, look at the top 3 cards from your deck, choose up to 1 card with Youthberk and its card name among them, reveal it and put it in your hand. Or you can choose a grade 2 or less unit from them and call it. Put everything else in the bottom of your deck in whatever order you'd like. So, pretty good way to get stuff out. It isn't free though, because you do have to Soul Blast. And then we got Youth following in footsteps Youth. And that does it. And that does it for this opening here. If you've ever wanted to try Cardfight Vanguard, I think these are very good products to get you started, specifically right now. Not only because they teach you how to play the game and it comes with the deck box and stuff. In general, these cards are very cool and they will be supported in the next 2 sets and going further. So give it a shot if you'd ever like. If any of these look interesting for you, go ahead. But until next time, take care of yourself, play Vanguard, and have yourself a damn good one.